The air hung heavy, thick with the stench of decay. Bunt, a gnarled hyena with eyes like tarnished coins, cackled at the flickering screen. Her den, a cluttered room smelling of stale cigarettes and unwashed laundry, was her hunting ground. Online, she was a phantom, a wraith, weaving through forums and comment sections, leaving a trail of misery in her wake. Words dripped from her fingertips like venom, each syllable designed to wound, to maim, to destroy. Bunt lived for the hunt. The thrill coursed through her withered veins, an elixir more potent than any drug. She targeted the vulnerable, the innocent, those who dared to express a glimmer of hope in the digital wasteland. Their pain was her pleasure, their tears a symphony to her ears. With each cruel barb, she chipped away at their defences, reveling in their descent into despair. Her claws, gnarled and yellowed, tapped furiously on the keyboard. Another victim, another opportunity to inflict pain. Bunt's laughter echoed through the empty room, a hollow, chilling sound that spoke volumes of her emptiness. She was a creature of the shadows, thriving in the darkness that permeated the darkest corners of the internet. And like a predator stalking its prey, she waited for the inevitable moment when her victims would break, their spirits crushed under the weight of her relentless cruelty. Only then, with a satisfied sigh, would she move on, seeking out her next target in the vast digital jungle. The cycle of pain continued, fueled by her insatiable thirst for the suffering of others. Bunt was not alone in her depravity. A pack of digital ghouls, drawn to her like moths to a flickering flame, lapped up her every word. They revelled in the carnage, their own twisted desires finding solace in her cruelty. These were her disciples, her acolytes, their online personas masks hiding their own insecurities and inadequacies. "You're a queen, Bunt," one sycophant typed, their words appearing on the screen. "They deserve everything you dish out." Bunt basked in their adoration, her ego swelling with each compliment, each virtual pat on the back. Their approval was a drug, validating her warped sense of self-worth. They were her audience, her chorus, cheering her on as she laid waste to the digital landscape. "They're just jealous," another chimed in, their avatar a grotesque caricature of a skull. "Jealous of your power, your wit, power." Yes, that was it. Bunt craved power, the kind that came from wielding words like weapons. In the online world, she was a force to be reckoned with, her barbs capable of inflicting real-world pain. And these followers, these digital bottom feeders, they were her enablers, feeding her ego and fueling her descent into darkness. Their praise washed over her, a digital balm soothing her festering soul. For a moment she felt almost powerful, important, but deep down, beneath the layers of cruelty and self-deception, a gnawing emptiness remained. The satisfaction she derived from her actions was fleeting, leaving her feeling emptier than before. The first sign of trouble came in the form of silence. One by one, her followers began to disappear. Their avatars, once a constant presence in her digital den, vanished into the ether. At first, Bunt dismissed their absence, attributing it to the fickle nature of the internet. People came and went. It was the natural order of things. But as the silence stretched on, a seed of doubt began to take root in her mind. Had she gone too far this time? Had her latest victim, a woman who dared to share her disgust against your bullying online, finally broken her spirit? No. She scrolled through the comments section, her eyes scanning for any sign of life, any indication that her reign of terror was still intact. There, amidst the usual chorus of praise and adulation, she found it. A single comment, stark in its simplicity. "This is wrong," it read. "You need to stop." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. Wrong? Stop! The very notion was absurd. She was Bunt, the queen of the digital jungle. She answered to no one, and yet the comment lingered in her mind, a persistent itch she couldn't scratch. More defections followed. Her once loyal followers, emboldened by the initial descent, began to voice their own doubts. Some expressed concern, others outright condemnation. Bunt lashed out, her words dripping with venom, but her heart wasn't in it. The doubt had taken root, spreading like a virus through her carefully constructed facade. She was losing her grip, her power waning with each departing follower. The realization sent a chill down her spine. What would become of her without her audience, her chorus of sycophants? The thought was unbearable. The silence was deafening now. Bunt sat alone in her den, the glow of the computer screen casting an eerie pallor on her wrinkled face. The internet, once her playground, now felt like a prison, a vast and empty wasteland reflecting her own inner turmoil. The thrill of the hunt had evaporated, replaced by a gnawing sense of dread. Her body, once a source of strength, had begun to betray her. Aches and pains racked her joints, her movements slow and laboured. Her once sharp mind felt clouded, her thoughts sluggish and disjointed. She was rotting from the inside out, consumed by the same poison she had so liberally inflicted on others. One evening, as she sat hunched over her keyboard, a sharp pain shot through her back. She gasped for air, her body racked with spasms. Her vision blurred, the digital world around her fading to black. As she slipped into unconsciousness, she imagined she could hear the faint buzzing of flies, their buzzing growing louder, closer, until it almost consumed her entirely. Her body and mind was just a grotesque parody of its former self, as her thirst for cruelty had almost entirely destroyed her. The stench of decay permeated the air, attracting a swarm of flies that buzzed around her heartless heart. All this for a creature who had derived so much pleasure from the suffering of others. Bunt's reign of terror was beginning to end. Her cruelty, once a source of power, had almost consumed her, leaving behind nothing but a shell, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones in the darkest corners of the internet. Karma, it seemed, had a way of balancing the scales. A second chance is all she has left. And in Bunt's case, the price of her wickedness had been her own undoing, so she may never dare hunt anyone ever again, unless...